What's up, everybody? Gillette drafted finalist Nasr here, and I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Nasr Sports Talk. I've got all your updates in the world of sports coming right up. So we kick things off with some Blue Jays banter. Now, if you were one of the poor souls that actually sat through all 9 innings of last night's game, then you know that we suffered the worst shutout loss in Blue Jays history, and at the hands of the Oakland Athletics, no less. It might feel like losing 16-0 to the A's was the worst possible part of the game, but it gets so much worse. First off, supposed staff ace Ricky Romero, who's been really struggling in his last 5 starts, saw that trend continue in a major way. He would pitch his shortest outing of his career, going only 1 1/3 innings pitched while giving up 8 runs. After the game, he was quoted as calling the game an embarrassment and calling his effort pathetic. Hearing Ricky talk lately, it's been pretty depressing. Romero's 79 earned runs allowed this season are the most in the majors, a far cry from the success he's had in his first 2 seasons in the bigs. Even worse yet, a day after A-Rod broke his hand and yours truly was jumping for joy, the old saying, karma is a you-know-what, came into effect in the 2nd inning, as starting catcher J.P. Arencibia broke his hand on a Brandon Inge foul tip. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks with the fracture to his throwing hand, and with minor league backstop Travis d'Arnaud out for the season with a knee injury, it'll be up to Yan Gomes and Jeff Mathis to handle the catching duties for the next 2 months. Now that's a scary thought. And if all that wasn't bad enough for you, the loss to the A's Wednesday night put the Bluebirds 5 games out of a wildcard spot. The Blue Jays and Athletics will take the field again today at the Rogers Center with a matchup of left-handers Aaron Laffey and Tommy Malone. Shifting gears now, we turn our attention to football. College football, that is. On Monday, the NCAA announced the sanctions that were handed down to Penn State and its football program. Those sanctions included a $60 million fine, a 4-year postseason or bowl ban, a major reduction in football scholarships, and the forfeiture of 112 wins. Well, yesterday it was announced that Penn State actually faced the threat of a 4-year ban on playing football, period. A university spokesman said that the potential for a multi-year death penalty had been floated around before the NCAA handed down its punishment Monday morning. All this means to me is that once again the NCAA has chosen to put its own interest before what is right and just. A complete shutdown of that football program would have been the only sanction that could have suited the crime. But of course the NCAA was not going to shut down one of the most prestigious programs in the country. People will still tune into Penn State football games to see how they handle this whole situation. The NCAA is still going to make money off this horrible situation, and that's all they want. From college to the pros, we're talking some NFL football now. And as you know, training camps are kicking off this week around the league. And just like every other year, disgruntled players who are unhappy with their contracts and won't report to camp are dominating the early headlines. Steelers Pro Bowl wide receiver Mike Wallace and Jaguars Pro Bowl running back Maurice Jones-Drew have both decided to hold out for new contracts. Now, the 2 player situations are a tad bit different. Wallace is a restricted free agent, and he was offered a 1-year, $2.5 million contract back in March. Wallace remains the only RFA not to sign, and he cannot practice with the team until he is under contract. MJD, on the other hand, still has 2 years left on his current deal, but is unhappy with the terms and figures of his current contract, so he's holding out until he gets a new one. The Steelers' Dan Rooney and the Jags' Shad Khan have told both their disgruntled star players that they will not receive new contract offers this year. These standoffs hurt both teams, as Pittsburgh runs the risk of losing its #1 wide receiver, while Jacksonville may go into the season without its only proven commodity on offense. I believe the Steelers are more well equipped to handle a Mike Wallace holdout. They have a number of capable receivers, with youngster Emmanuel Sanders ready to step up and fill that role. But the Jaguars will be in serious trouble if they take the field in 2012 without Pocket Hercules in the backfield. If Blaine Gabbert doesn't have him as a safety valve, expect another long season in Jacksonville. What makes these holdouts even worse is that both these teams are fielding new offenses with new coordinators this season, so this time in camp is key to a seamless transition. Sticking with football now, you might not think this is a very newsworthy story, but anytime the President of the United States has anything to say about the world of sports, it makes my show. President Barack Obama was recently at a fundraiser, and Philadelphia Eagles cornerback Nnamdi Asomugha was also in attendance. While they were there, they decided to talk some football, and Obama was quoted as saying, "Tell Vick to slide." Now this may seem irrelevant, but Obama's got a point. the former #1 overall pick has completed a 16-game season just once in his career. With the reckless style of play that Vick displays on the field, he's prone to injuries, and now, as he's 32 years old, the risk only increases. So if Vick really wants to lead his Eagles team on a deep playoff run, then maybe he should take the president's words to heart. Either that or leave the team's fate in the hands of Mike Kafka and Trent Edwards. Are you like the rest of the world and you just can't get enough Gronk? Well, if so, you're in luck. The Patriots star has enjoyed a busy offseason to say the least. Now Rob Gronkowski and his family are in talk with William Morris Endeavor, a talent agency, to develop a television show around the stud tight end. Gronkowski has proven to become a very entertaining personality, and with 3 brothers who also play professional sports, the show is sure to be a good one. Transitioning now from football over to football, last night the 2012 All-Stars played Champions League winner Chelsea FC in the 2012 MLS All-Star Game from PPL Park in Philadelphia. A game that featured star players such as David Beckham, Thierry Henry, Frank Lampard, and John Terry did not disappoint the record crowd of over 19,000 fans. Both Terry and Lampard scored in the contest as Chelsea led 2-1. But in the 73rd minute, DC United teammates Dwayne De Rosario and Chris Pontius connected on the equalizer. Then in extra time, the MLS All-Stars put the game to bed as Eddie Johnson scored in the 91st minute to give them the victory over Chelsea. Pontius was named the game's MVP. Galaxy star David Beckham had to leave the game immediately after it was over, as he has a role in the Olympic opening ceremonies. Speaking of the Olympics, with the game set to kick off tomorrow, the stories from London are starting to roll in, and not all of them are positive. Greek Olympic triple jumper Voula Popachristou has been expelled from Greece's Olympic national team after controversial comments she made about African immigrants on Twitter. The tweet reads, and I quote, "With so many Africans in Greece, at least the West Nile mosquitoes will eat homemade food." It became known that the triple jumper was also a part of a far-right anti-immigration group, so it's noted that her public apology fell upon deaf ears, as it should have. The Olympics are a time when the world needs to come together, not to create additional borders. As an Olympic athlete, you are a representative of your nation. So kudos to Greece for not letting stupid comments like these represent their country. Why do the pretty ones always have to be crazy? We close things out here on NST with news about Michael Phelps. First off, Mr. Phelps showed up to his Olympic headshot dressing extremely casual. Either he just rolled out of bed, or he still hasn't put away that bong he got caught with after the 2008 Olympics. In other Michael Phelps news, the world-class swimmer has said that he will not be joining his USA teammates in the opening ceremonies. Phelps said that he won't be walking in with his fellow Olympians because he's competing in an event the following morning. Now, many people consider Phelps the greatest Olympian of all time, not named Jesse Owens. But just last week, MMA fighter and former Team USA Olympian Ronda Rousey claimed that Phelps annoyed her and often treated her teammates like groupies. Maybe she was onto something. Well, that does it for today's edition of Nasr Sports Talk. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to remind you to hop on over to drafted.ca and vote for your man Nasr Ahmed to become Canada's next sportscaster. Help make a dream come true, people. You guys can also follow me on Twitter at NasrAhmed93 for even more sports updates. Who needs TSN when you've got NST right here? Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for all the latest in the world of sports. Take care, folks.